In 2026, the geopolitical landscape is shifting as China adopts a surprisingly hands-off approach to the ongoing military strikes against Iran. While Beijing is technically Tehran's most significant partner, a deep-dive analysis reveals that China is prioritizing its own energy security over the survival of the Iranian regime. Despite a 25-year strategic pact signed in 2021, very few collaborative projects have actually materialized. Chinese strategists have become increasingly disillusioned with Tehran, viewing the country's power as overstated and its military responses as performative retaliation. To Beijing, a leadership that its own officials are willing to sell, evidenced by the ease of recent intelligence, infiltrations is no longer a reliable horse to back in a global race. A major factor in this calculus is China's absolute dependence on Middle Eastern oil. In 2025, over 55% of China's total oil imports came from the region, with approximately 13% coming directly from Iran. Because most of this supply must pass through the narrow Strait of Hormuz, Beijing's primary goal is to ensure the waterway remains open and functional. Chinese leaders have communicated that they are regime agnostic. They are willing to work with whatever leadership emerges in Tehran, provided that the new government prioritizes economic stability and the uninterrupted flow of oil. If the current regime change leads to a more stable, economically focused Iran, Beijing may actually embrace the transition rather than fight it. Furthermore, the timing of this conflict coincides with a high-stakes diplomatic window for President Xi Jinping, with a summit between Xi and President Donald Trump scheduled for the end of March 2026. Beijing is hopeful for a grand bargain that could end years of trade tensions and great power competition. China is unwilling to let its defense of a struggling Iranian regime derail the prospect of a major détente with the United States. While China may offer boilerplate diplomatic support and dual-use equipment if the war becomes a long-term attrition, it will not intervene militarily unless its core energy interests are directly threatened. Ultimately, the 2026 crisis has exposed the limits of the anti-Western alliance. Beijing sees Iran as trapped between its revolutionary ideology and its desperate need for sanctions relief for deadlock that has stunted Iran's GDP to less than 25% of Saudi Arabia's. By staying on the sidelines, China is signaling that its interests in the Middle East are purely pragmatic. As long as the oil keeps flowing and the Strait of Hormuz stays open, Beijing is content to let the political chips fall where they may, proving that in the modern era of 2026, economic utility consistently outweighs ideological loyalty.